freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your recap episode for this week's RSM Classic. Joining me to break it all down, Mark Immelman is here. Hello, Mark.
How's it, boys? Happy Sunday to you all.
Oh, I thought you had more to say. Happy Sunday to you.
You thought I was going to wax poetic right now, but I'm a little tired after watching college football last night. So we're on the download church Sunday.
All right, download today indeed. Greg DuCharme is here. Hi, Greg.
Happy Sunday. This was a phenomenal tournament. What a week. Really, really exciting last event of the 2024 PGA Tour season. I can't believe it's actually over. Where is it all gone? And next time we tee it up in an official event, it's going to be the start of a new season. But this is quite a way to end it.
I'll tell you what, I'm sort of masking to your point, Greg. I'm actually a little sad, to be honest with you. This was quite a year, and to go, oh my gosh, that was the last regular season PGA Tour event. And this morning I was lamenting to my wife. I was like, goodness gracious me, when we were done with broadcast after the Utah event, I'm like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to fix that and I'm going to do this. And now it's Thanksgiving and I haven't done anything. And shucks, the new season's just around the corner almost.
It means you're not going to do anything.
Yeah, I had that to-do list as well. I'm not sure how much I actually got completed. But gentlemen, the final event of the year took us down to the very last moments. An exciting finish where we were staring down a potential four-way playoff. It did not end up going that way. It was decided in regulation on the very last stroke on the 72nd hole. But let's get you up to date with everything that happened. And I'm going to go, guys. I'm going to start with the ones that didn't win, and we'll work ourselves up to the winner of this tournament. And we've got to start with the amateur, Luke Clanton, who shot rounds of 68, 65, 68, and 66, including a run today, Mark, in which he got to the top of the leaderboard. There are probably a couple of strokes, maybe the shot on the approach on 18 that he will rue. But this kid is so legit.
He really is. I mean, now we're reminiscing over the seasons past a little bit for me too. And in the final round of the John Deere Classic this year, I had a group that included Luke Clanton and Michael Thorbjornsen. And I watched the both of them, and, they were both dynamic. They are both dynamic young players. And I watched them and I was like, these two are truly the future. And I got to say now that after then, my boys and I had a dinner, and I was like, wow, that Thorbjornsen's like a Rolls Royce. He's big, he's strong, hits the ball high, far. It comes easy. Now, Clanton is long. Don't get me wrong. He's dynamic, but he's kind of got a toughness, a grit about him. And watching him play today again, and, but for a blink of an eye, could have been a PGA Tour winner already after this week. It reminds me of a quote by Bill Harmon, who is the youngest of the four Harmon brothers. And we were chatting one day, and he said to me, now he's been around all of the greats and worked on the tour and played it. He's done it all. And he's like, Mark, give me tough over good any day of the week. And watching Luke go this afternoon and watching him play in person at the John Deere Classic, this kid's got it, man. He's got lots of game. He's long. He's a good iron player, but he's just got that, you can see in the eye, he's got this toughness, this grit about him. And I thought when he made that birdie putt, I think it was on 14, which is just a brutal par 4. I was like, here we go. We're going to have another amateur winner again here in 2024. He comes up shy, but I got to tell you, he's legit. And I'd be keen to see now, because I don't know how many points he would have accumulated unofficial. Would it have been enough if he could, turn professional and get his PGA Tour card? Because the future is bright.
Yeah, the advanced metrics, Greg, for Luke Clanton I believe we have 7. This will be his 8th measured event of the year, are awesome. We talked about this on Monday. We've talked about it on many Mondays, in which he is putting together a really a fantastic ball striking year. He missed a short putt on 13, 3 feet 8 inches that led to a bogey, and he had that immediate bounce back on 14 for birdie. He stepped on the 18th tee at 16 under par, which ended up being the winning score. Yanks' approach left into the greenside bunker, barely jumps out of its own pitch mark. He cannot get it up and down from there. But that's how small the margins were between Luke Clanton finishing T2 and winning this event.
The ceiling's extremely high. You mentioned those margins. There are a lot of shots that Luke Clanton could, if he could have back, is the winner. He made 4 bogeys in his third round, and they were all somewhat sloppy. They were all from positions around the green where he had an opportunity to put a putter in his hand. Sometimes he chipped, sometimes he putted, and was unable to get him up and down. He chips him into that 6-foot range and misses it, and it's frustrating. But they're all very doable. And you consider the bogey that you mentioned, the 3-putt today. There was a 3-putt yesterday as well. There are, and you consider what happened, the shot into 18, so much room to the right, anywhere right of the flag, and he's making a 4, and he's in a playoff, if not making a birdie putt to win. So there's a lot of frustrating elements because it really felt like he should have won this golf tournament. The mistakes are young mistakes, but to Mark's point about this kid just being tough, and to your point about his advanced metrics, they've been phenomenal, especially with the iron play. Really, in all 8 of these, well, the first 7 PGA Tour starts, he loses a shot and a half with his approach play this week, and still is in a position where he should have won the golf tournament. There's a lot of guys out on tour right now that are happy he's still at Florida State because he is tough to beat, and he loves to compete when he gets in the mix.
Yeah, I just want to clean something up. I was talking about FedEx Cup points. He would have had to have won to have those points become official, but he clearly would have had enough because I'm looking through this year. He's finished in the top 10 3 of the last 5 starts on the PGA Tour. At the John Deere, I think he might have ran second. I have not checked.
Tied second.
He's got his second locked up over here, and it's like this kid is fearless as well. And oftentimes you get these youngsters, they come out and you can sort of get awed by the moment a little bit when you're in contention. One of the last few groups in the PGA Tour. It looks like this youngster has just got one gear, and that's like forward, no matter who he's playing against and where he's playing. So it's exciting. And if I was Coach Trey Jones at Florida State, I'd be on the phone right now making sure, yo, bro, you're coming back next season. We got a spring season to be good in.
Yeah, might lead to begging shortly with the way that Luke Clanton is going. He played alongside Nico Echavarria on Sunday's final round here, Greg, and Nico had rattled off about 27 bogey-free holes until he got to the 18th on Sunday, also at that 16 under par number. He went before Clanton did on those approach shots. He was long and left, also unable to get it up and down from there. So he posts 15 under par alongside Clanton in that group. We will find out shortly that number was not good enough, but clearly something has switched for Nico the last month or so compared to the first, 12 or 18 of his professional career.
Yes. The win in Puerto Rico seemed like an anomaly. The win at the Zozo seemed like an anomaly, but something has stuck. And I have a feeling it's that claw putting grip, because all of a sudden he's making the putts that he should make at a much higher frequency, able to gain strokes with the putter when he needs to. He gained nearly 3.5 strokes today with the flat stick, and that's all a function of the claw grip, which he switched to Tuesday before the Zozo, and he has 3 top 10s, including the Zozo now since then. And only 5 in his PGA Tour career. So something has clearly stuck, and he's one of those few guys that's really disappointed that the season has ended. Thrilled to have his PGA Tour card. Thrilled to be playing another couple, 2 full seasons on the PGA Tour next year. and the year after. Also gets into the signature events. He moves up to 54th in the FedEx Cup fall standings. So he gets into the first 2 signature events and the Century. So it's like the 3, right? You get into the Century, you get into Genesis, you get into AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. That's a really nice way to start the first quarter of 2025. But I'll tell you what, if I'm Nico Echavarria, I'm wishing that thing started tomorrow because he figured something out and is playing at a completely different level.
Yeah, here's the thing, Mark. 62 PGA Tour starts for Nico Echavarria. In his first 58, 2 top 10s and a win. In his last 4, 3 top 10s and a win. So it's been a good month or so.
It really has. Playing with a lot of confidence, and to build on what Greg was saying with the change to the claw grip. After that win, I spoke with his coach, Hernan Ray, and they were also talking about how he just wasn't seeing lines properly. Now, the change to the claw grip helped him mechanically a little bit, but when all he did was he had Nico hit some putts down in basically a straight line and then have the ball break. And then they would put a target down where that was. And they noticed then that he was never, ever missing. So it's not like he was reacting too much to the target, not his start line. So obviously the change turns into 2 victories. And the numbers this week putting were incredible. I think he was second in the field on the greens. And this is on Bermuda greens where people typically tend to struggle with reading and stuff. So it's been a big fall campaign. And I get the sense that the way he's putting as well, if you watched him coming down the stretch, I know you're playing offense. It's perfect conditions, light breezes. The greens were somewhat receptive, but he was going after some hole locations where it proved that if he short-sighted himself, he was not that concerned because he knew he had this putter that could bail him out, and he could still make par. So it afforded him the chance to play some more offense, and it showed. And I was always, if you had called me when he was over that pitch shot green side on 18 and said, does he get this up and down? I would have bet my house on the fact. But he just kind of hit a sort of a scrubby pitch shot and then missed the 6 or 8 footer for the par. But all that being said, you can see this is a guy who's going after shots because he pretty well knows that, okay, I can make the save if I do miss.
Which he did earlier in the day, right? The flop shot he hit at number 12 was sweet. And then he hit the low cut spinner at 14 from long of the green. Both of those, Mark, to your point, were short-sided. And he got both of those up and down. It looked like he was going to win the tournament for sure at that point.
Yeah, he made a couple of big putts throughout the day to keep pars on the scorecard. We're going to play a little bit more offense here. We're going to add another voice to this conversation. I've got him. His name is Patrick McDonald. We're going to add him in. Right there he is. Patrick, did you file your article?
Story is filed. Internet is pretty dodgy today. I'm not going to lie, but it's a beautiful day to be with you guys.
Well, I'm just going to tee you up right out of the gate here. We've got Clanton and Echavarria making bogey on the 72nd hole. They post 15 under. It is Daniel Berger who is playing alongside Maverick McNealy. And for Berger, you have pointed this out a couple of times, Patrick, misses a large chunk of time. I think it was 18 months at the most valuable time to be a professional golfer, working his way back into things, gave himself a real chance to win, including a birdie putt on the 72nd hole that went begging to get into a playoff. But Berger is seemingly trending in the right direction here.
So it was a bit of a triple whammy, actually, for Daniel Berger. Not only was he injured at the worst time in the history of professional golf, he was unable to take a major medical because he was on a multi-year exemption due to his wins. And so he lost that 1.5 years of status. It just goes away. While other guys take advantage through injuries and whatnot, his got completely taken away. So that's one whammy. The second is his back was so bad, he talked about this Saturday night, he couldn't enjoy the boat that he loves. He's like, I couldn't go out. It'd be too choppy. It'd be bad for my back. Spent a nice week there in the Bahamas last month. Got to take a little time there. And then obviously not being in the signature events, not playing in the events he's come accustomed to, right? A winner at Pebble Beach. Guess what, Daniel Berger? You don't get to go back to Pebble Beach. You don't get to go back to the Travelers where you lost to Jordan Spieth in that playoff. You got to make it to Memphis for the playoffs now. It's a little different. So He hit the ball great down the stretch. I was so impressed. You look at those final 4 holes, 15, he finds the surface in 2. Both him and McNealy, oh gosh, it was like if McNealy made his putt, it felt like Berger was going to make his putt. And so both of them missed putts from inside 4 feet. Both of them need 3 putts after finding the surface in 2. Fine, that's okay. He hits a great wedge up the hill on 16, 7 feet below the pin. He gets a read from McNealy underneath, kind of shoves it a little bit, misses it, hits a great putt from 15 feet on 17 also. And then on the last, he does everything he needed to do. Splits the middle of the fairway, gives himself a 20-footer to win the golf tournament. McNealy just happens to hit a better shot in there, a real pearl, and he still gave it a good run. So I think it's really impressive for him to come back so fast, 18 months away from the game. He said he was going to give himself 2 years to get back to where he wants, and he sounds extremely confident in his abilities. Saturday night, he said, just 1/10 of what I'm capable of is going to be able to beat some of these guys in this field. And he was like, I know it's going to sound bad, but that's the way I feel.
He's not wrong, Greg. Let's look at the numbers here. I just pulled up the last 200 rounds for everybody on the PGA Tour. Now, obviously for Daniel Berger, that goes back time-wise farther than other guys, but it's still the last 200 rounds because of the time that he missed. He is the 9th best player in the world. I mean, we are talking about Scheffler, Schauffele, Cantlay, Morikawa, Finau, Russell Henley, Patrick. Sungjae Im and Hideki Matsuyama are the only guys who have been better than Daniel Berger over the last 200 rounds. So he is not wrong. Daniel is not wrong that his B+, C-, whatever it is, that game can go a long way in fields like this.
Well, especially if you hit 12 of 14 fairways and 17 of 18 greens. The one green he missed was on number 7. He was right on the fringe, like an inch off the green. This was near flawless in the ball striking department. Look, we have talked about it in some of the preview shows. His putting, there's something seems to be clicking with his putting. He putted a whole lot better this fall, which helped him move from, what was he, 140th at the end of the Wyndham Championship. He moves all the way up to 100th in the FedEx Cup standings to keep his card. Really impressive jump, and it comes from ball striking performances like this. You know, this was surgical, it was clinical, and after watching Luke Clanton and Nico Echavarria miss left into 18, watching Vince Whaley miss left into 18, Daniel Berger starts it right up the left side, trusts his shot shape, and is able to find the green and give himself a really good look to win the tournament. It's a couple of costly, a couple of poor putts. He gave himself every chance from tee to green. He pushed a couple. I think he pushed the one on 18 as well. 16 and 18. Yeah. Those both look like they jumped a little right early on him. Not his best stroke. The good news is in that 200 round stretch that you referenced, Rick, putting has been a strength of Daniel Berger's. It's the thing right now that's holding him back. And if it gets back to the Daniel Berger of old, well, then he will be back in the position inside that top 15 in the official world golf rankings. But the good news is coming off an injury. I know it's been a while, but when you're coming off an injury and your ball striking looks like it does right now, that's a really good sign.
Daniel Berger from 127 to 100 mark. He with Henrik Norlander were the only two golfers to start outside the top 125 to move their way in at the final event of the season. But you got to be pretty bullish on Daniel Berger moving forward.
I'll say so. I always have been. I was around when he came out and played a few events as an amateur on the PGA Tour. And right then, there were a few guys that jumped out, and they were Jon Rahm and Daniel Berger for different reasons, but they played sort of similar games. Daniel, the one thing about that guy is he's not handcuffed by technique. And you're playing in an environment there where people are always searching for a little something, and they're tinkering on the golf swing and fiddling with this and fiddling with that. This guy hardly ever changes golf clubs. You know, he barely makes changes to the technique. I mean, the word was for a while he was working with Cameron McCormick, but I couldn't see the changes in his golf swing for the life of me. But I'll tell you what he can do. For that win that he had, the last victory he had at Pebble Beach, there during the COVID lockdown. I had the call there, and I was sent out to him in like 11, and just coming in, he just hits this fade every single time. And we get to 14, and we got the tee shot live, and it's Ian Baker Finch's hole. And Ian sets it off to me, and he goes, Mark, Daniel on the tee kind of thing. And I'm like, you know what? Left to right hole, you can set your wristwatch on this guy hitting a left to right pattern. And I would venture the bank he finds this fairway and makes birdie. Sliding fade down there, makes the 4. Then we get to 18. Now he has the lead. And he sets a cut off down the Pacific on the left-hand side into the fairway. It's like a 4-iron. Again, starts out to the left over the water into the middle of the green, makes the eagle to sort of ice the thing. And I looked at this and I was like, here's a guy who's not worried about technique. He plays a game of spin. He will bet his life on the fact that the ball never goes left. And this to me is almost like, this is like playing with no kryptonite around. And if you look at the class he came out with, JT and Jordan and Grillo and all these guys, Xander is the only guy I feel like who's doing better than him right now, because Daniel has this, I'm just going to do me kind of thing. And he's a real athlete. And now that he's getting healthy, I think the future, I'm very bullish.
I've mentioned the big 4, and we've hit on the trio of runners-up. There's one left. It's the winner of the golf tournament, the winner of the RSM Classic, his first win on the PGA Tour. We'll talk about him and much more after a quick word from our partners.
Historic rivals with unforgettable seasons meet in a game of honor. The Army-Navy game presented by USAA, December 14th on CBS.
And we're back with rounds of 62, 70, 66, and 68, making his 100th career cut this week, Patrick, stepping into the winner's circle for the very first time, thanks to a birdie on 18 after stuffing one in there. That putt was just 5 feet, 5 inches. The winner of the RSM Classic is Maverick McNealy.
Mav. Team Mav. I think it's a great example of you don't need to be perfect on Sunday to win on the PGA Tour. You just need to be the last guy standing. And the front 9 was great for McNealy. We saw the nerves kind of get into Vincent Whaley early when he hit one in the water, makes double bogey. McNealy standing on the 10th tee with a 2-stroke lead, and you kind of started to see the wheels wobble a little bit. Number 11 misses the green, decides to putt it from off the surface, makes that par putt, luckily. A couple holes later, bit of a weird club decision, I think, off the tee on 13 first, hitting it into that bunker. Berger and Whaley both hit iron off the tee short of that bunker. He hit fairway wood into the bunker, gets up and down from the green side. Next hole, he drops the shot. 15 is when him and Berger were both thrown up on themselves, 3-putting from about 50, 60 feet away, when McNealy, one of, if not the best putter in entire professional golf, you could just see the nerves engulf him. And then he said post-round, Scout, his brother, was just cracking him up on the 17th green. It really calmed him down. And the shot into 18, I was waiting for the club twirl similar to the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am from many years ago, when he gave myself vertigo from that club twirl he laced into the 72nd hole there. Just an absolute pearl from a $185 with a 6-iron, and he pays it off. So he's always been sort of that 50 to 70 guy, it seems like, right? The BMW Championship, it seems. And for him to get his first win after a huge college career, when you put yourself next to Tiger Woods' name in Stanford's record books, that's absolutely ridiculous, or past it, mind you. Get to Kapalua for the first time, get to Augusta National for the first time. It's a long time coming for a guy with a great shoulder on his heads, and I couldn't be happier for him.
Yeah, great shoulder on his heads, which is always something that you're looking for out of a player. Maverick McNealy.
Oh, God. I don't have a good head on my shoulders. My bad.
was wobbling, Greg. As Patrick mentioned, it was his brother, Scout, on the bag who kind of set things right, because things were getting away from him. A short missed putt on 14. A lot of these guys had great opportunities to make putts. Not a lot of them fell, but the one that did matter the most, that 5.5-footer on 18, drops for McNealy. And you could see the emotion, the excitement. the relief in his face. It was awesome in that post-round interview.
It was. And, a couple of things. When that stretch, 13, that was a sweet up and down on 13 from the bunker. But 14 and 15, it looked like things were going the other way. And you could start to see it on his face. You could see the tension really rise. And it was like, okay, this is probably going the other way. But he steps up on 16 and hits a great little wedge in there. Gives himself a great look up the hill for birdie. Hit a great shot into 17 from 191, not dissimilar to the distance he had into 18. That ball did not curve. I mean, it was dead flush into the perfect spot, just about 12 feet above the hole, and he missed it. And then 18, he fires back with, from just 5 yards closer, 186, fires it in there to 5 feet and makes that one. So when that pressure, when things started to move really fast for him, he battled back with his weakness, which has been his iron play. It's been the weakest area of his game, but coming back with 3 really clutch approach shots to give himself 3 looks at winning this tournament is awesome. And that's what it takes. Usually on the PGA Tour, under pressure, weakness is exposed. And Maverick McNealy has clearly made a big step forward with those clubs in his hand, which, as we know, that's the key to success on the PGA Tour, your approach play. And he seems to have made a big step in that department.
Yeah, we talked a lot, Mark, about the injury to Daniel Berger. Well, Maverick McNealy's 2023, basically a wash. And he tried to play through this. He withdrew early. I think it was from Phoenix. It might have been 2 weeks in a row. Phoenix and Pebble Beach. Tried to play through it, was miserable, then ended up kind of shutting it down for the last 6 months or so of the year. So he himself had a year that was basically a gone year, a wasted year. And now healthy again, getting back into the swing of things and finding a trophy for the first time.
I remember Pebble Beach because I'd picked him that week in one and done.
Yeah.
He was on the
course
cut.
Things you never forget.
Yeah, boy. And then I saw the guy pull because he started on 10 on Pebble Beach, and through 9 holes he's a couple over. I'm like, what the heck? It's perfect weather out there. And then he disappeared for the second 9. And I had no idea he was injured at the time. Then the word filtered through there. But look, couple observations to me. First off, I'm going for the Harmon trifecta here. We've mentioned Bill. You have to credit Butch Harmon because this guy, he's a fantastic instructor, but he's more like a life coach to a lot of these young men. And with Maverick too, it's not like Butch is in there with a scalpel changing what he's doing. He's just sort of nipping and tucking and kind of advising Maverick and almost getting him to believe in who he is. Because you don't accidentally cobble together the resume he had at Stanford and break Tiger Woods' record. You got to have some game, right? So kudos to Butch for just sort of, egging him on, directing him a little bit and helping him to believe in himself. Because as you watch this final round here, yeah, he was looking solid for a bit, then makes that save, and it did look like things were on the skids. But to Greg's observation, it's like all of a sudden, might have been scout, might have been all the work he's put in. It's just the culmination of everything where when the chips got down, he just stepped up there and delivered. And that doesn't happen if you're doubtful. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. So kudos to him for being patient, for sticking in there, and then for stuffing one in there on 18. Because, when you're coming in there with 7-iron or for side sloping line, that green is narrow. I got to tell you, in there 5 feet and then to convert, that's the stuff of which dreams are made. I mean, he's going to put that in a saddlebag and go, I've got to win, but man, I was the guy that hit that 7-iron from that lie to that hole, and then I made the putts when it meant something, and that means a hell of a lot to anyone playing the game.
Maverick McNealy, your winner, 500 FedEx Cup points, technically moves up to 51st in the next 10, the FedEx Cup fall. Just a couple of rapid fire items here. Gentlemen, Patrick, we'll start with you. Joel Dahmen entered the week 124th, finishes the week 124th. So he retains that PGA Tour card for 2025.
Couple clutch putts, one on Friday, obviously, just to give himself the chance, 5 feet there, and then he did the same thing on number 9 today as well, where he left himself the most knee knocking of a putt you can ask for. 6 feet, found the bottom of the cup, but great stuff from him. Got off to a great start. The PGA Tour, I know I'm at odds with them sometimes, but them releasing the video of Joel Dahmen's hole out on the par 4, 13th, I believe he started on the back 9, looked like it was shot from a potato. Just
do you know what I think that was shot from?
On the screen.
You know what I think that's from?
What?
I think that's the ShotLink camera.
I think you were right. Yeah. But just showing that, and then the comments underneath were just brutal. Brutal, as you would expect. I love the people on PGA Tour Social. But great stuff from Joel. Gets inside ahead of what's going to be a tight 2025 with the top 100 now.
Rick, here's proof that golfers have long memories. And if you want to be successful, you got to have long drives and a short memory. Joel, on Friday afternoon, Patrick talked about, he's got 25, 30 feet, whips it like 6 feet past the hole. Today on his final hole, he's got like 40 feet and leaves it like 6 feet short. Because I guarantee you, he's sitting over that birdie attempt going, well, don't do what I did on Friday again. So you kind of...
Adrenaline's pumping. Got to take a little bit off it.
God, this game's so mental.
It certainly is. Greg, I'm going to give you Joe Highsmith here because we've been tracking this story for the entirety of the fall. Starts it off with a T13 at the Pro Tour, has a T6 at the Black Desert Championship, a T16 at the Shriners, a 5th place finish in Cabo, and then, of course, the T11 this week. That is 4 consecutive top 16 finishes, 5 of his last 6. He has turned around what was really not a very good year to a spectacular fall, probably one of the best falls of anybody who did not get a win.
It was a great fall for somebody without a win. I was really impressed with his play. He's kind of started to show his colors of who he is as a PGA Tour player, which is a really strong ball striker. But the struggles and you could see that because he made 3 holes in 1 this year, not in the fall. That doesn't happen very often. But really impressive with his iron play, a lot longer than you might think as well. But he makes a switch to a claw, kind of like Nico Echavarria, except it's a backwards claw. And all of a sudden things start to click with him on the putting green and he gets a little confidence. Now, he didn't putt great this week, but he did rally on Sunday with a really nice putting performance that gets him in with 65 and a tied 11th finish. Really, really strong fall for him. And he's got to be heading into 2025 with a lot of confidence.
Just the one fall start for Ludvig Åberg this week. Obviously, the knee surgery about 2 months ago for Ludvig. Mark, he opened up with a round of 73 and was very much on the outside of the cut line before rallying with a 64 on Friday. He then went 71, 64 on the weekend, both of those rounds on the Seaside course. That is a T17 for Ludvig in his first start back. So what was your thoughts? Did you have expectations for what we were going to get out of him this week?
Despite what I think of Ludvig Åberg, because to me, he's heavenly, in his golf talent and the skill he has, and just the mindset he has, my expectations were low. You don't come back from knee injury because joint injuries are a big deal. And then you have a procedure done. You don't come back from that and just contend right away. I don't care who you are. I don't care what the field is. So I had some low expectation. And to be truthful, when I watched some of the footage Thursday morning on ESPN Plus, I was like, well, this is expectable. Rust is the word that the PGA Tour player would use. He just wasn't sharp. But the good news is if you're Ludvig, you're like, all right, job done. I played 4 rounds. I seem to get better every day. Everything got just a little bit sharper. I don't know if he's playing in Tiger's event. This may be the end of it for him now, and we'll reconvene next year at the Century or wherever it is. But I think it was a good return to competition for Ludvig Åberg, and it looks like the ill effects of the procedure now are well behind him.
As of right now, Ludvig is indeed in the field for the Hero World Challenge. That is not next week. That is the following week. Ludvig planning on teeing it up. We still are waiting on 3 more of the tournament exemptions for that event, so we'll keep an eye out for those. Okay, gents, the RSM Classic is in the books. We still have to recap our bets, which is going to give us an opportunity to talk about more outcomes for this week. And a winner has been crowned in the fall one and done. It was very tight at the end and could have gone a variety of ways. No, Patrick, it wasn't you, but I will reveal who it was after a quick word from our partners.
If you love football, this is the best time of the year.
This is as big as it gets.
The stuff of absolute dreams.
And we're back. Before I even get to the recap of the bets in the one and done, I want to remind everybody, next week is Thanksgiving. Then the week after that is the Hero World Challenge. Then we're going to get into, December and whatnot. So we're going to have some mailbag content. We're going to have some trivia content. We're going to have some recap content, some look ahead stuff. If you would like to be involved in any of that with ideas, questions, concerns, or your mailbag questions, send them directly to Josh. It is firstcutpodcast@gmail.com. He will put them all together and we will do our best to get through as many as possible. So go ahead and start firing those over. Gentlemen, the bets. Oh boy, lot of red on this card. Things that didn't happen. Davis Thompson with a sorry Sunday did not beat Ludvig or Denny McCarthy. Wesley Bryan and Sam Ryder did not finish inside the top 40. Matt McCarty did not finish inside the top 20. We found 0 winners in the outright section. And Mark, the lone green text on this grid belongs to you, which was Patrick Rogers over Andrew Novak. Patrick Rogers finished T17. Andrew Novak finished T35.
Yeah, Patrick Rogers. There's certain look, he's good everywhere. I'm expecting him to win now. Maybe Maverick McNealy will look back at him and go, yo, big guy, you were also a Stanford grad who had a good record over there too. You can do this. But there are 2 guys that play Seaside very well, and that's Mackenzie Hughes and Patrick Rogers. So he managed to pip the homeboy Andrew Novak, so I'm happy.
The closest one that I had, so Patrick, you and I both opted to try to go for a perfect grid here. You went with Victor Perez at the Australian PGA, and I went with David Micheluzzi, and Victor Perez finished 34th. David finished just 4 shots off lead, solo 5th. This was only 3 rounds. If you give these guys, ran out of time is right. You give these guys another round, who knows what's going to happen? They got washed out on Friday. I don't know, man. I think this is under protest for me.
I think that's fair. You get the $10 back. No win.
Turn it to yellow.
Voided bet. I mean, Rick, you follow gambling Twitter as close as anyone. The amount of crying that goes on there when something bad happens in a sporting event, someone has their shoe untied, people are just clamoring at these books. Give me my money back. Give me my money back. Void that bet. So I think it's only fair that you get that $10 back. I was on Perez watch early. Both our guys were on the first page of the leaderboard after 18, and then I saw it cut to 54. I was like, oh, he might have a chance, but lights were too bright for him, I guess.
Yeah, he played all right. I mean, it was kind of Elvis Smiley kept it at mostly a 4-shot lead for the majority of the final rounds. In fact, Greg, the first 5 players on the leaderboard were all Aussies, some names that everybody might recognize. Elvis Smiley, your winner, he's only 22 years old. Cam Smith and Mark Leishman finished 2nd and 3rd. So Team Ripper GC, close but no cigar.
Yes, some strong performances from him. I think in this 3rd round, Cam Smith would be a little bit disappointed, made a bunch of bogeys and didn't putt very well. Whereas for Elvis Presley there, who's our winner, he seemed to take over Cam Smith with the flat stick and hold a number of really nice par putts and made a bunch of birdies early on in that round as well. So really, really good stuff from a guy that views Cam Smith as a bit of a mentor. So pretty cool story down under.
2 things that I always forget, Mark. I always forget until I watch, what is basically every shot of Cam Smith. I forget how wild he is off the tee. This dude sprays it and gets in underneath every tree you could imagine. And then I also forget what a magician he is to extract himself from these spots and get up and down. And it is, until you're watching it all the time, it is just bonkers to me.
Yeah, you know what? I don't want to sound like the guy because every anecdote I share is like, when I watched him when he did this kind of thing. But honestly, now I'll go back. The first time I ever went and watched Cam play, it was in an event. It was Saturday. He was contending. I watch him on the range, and he's hitting it fine. Everything looks okay. But there's sort of like one, and then he gets to the driver, and there's one cut, and then one draw, and then a higher right, then a sort of a straightish one. And most golfers would be like, oh, goodness, they'd be cobbling on something. He just keeps swinging, goes and hits a few putts. And on the second hole, when we join him, this is for PGA Tour Live, it's the nastiest snap hook off the tee. I think my eyes would have spouted blood if I'd hit that thing. And he just gives the club to Pinners, Sam Pinfold, his caddy, and they walk down the fairway, not flustered at all. Gets there, and he's got like one of these lies where his right leg's above the left. It's a low hook around the trees to the green, chips putts par. And the next thing, after 4.5 hours, he shot like 68. And I remember looking at this guy, golly, this guy is horrid off the tee, but he's a magician from then on. And you're right. He can hit some crazy shots, but when it all comes down to it, I feel like that's maybe why at a place like the Old Course, he would thrive, because he can hit it anywhere. And then you get him around those greens, and he's gonna have all manner of fun.
Houdini. He can just extract himself from anything. A 269 that looked nothing like that if you were watching. Now, our bonus bets, Patrick, Mr. What's his name? Unlimited?
Mr. Limited. What were our final tallies for the totality of bets this fall?
Josh, do we have that, or are we asking for something that is? Oh, wow. Okay.
How about that?
I was the loser. The loser. Everybody else was awesome. Patrick up 53%. Mark up 46%. Greg, a nice, tidy, high interest yield savings account, 4.6%.
Respectable.
A total of 22%. Is this just for the fall?
There's no way this is right.
Yeah, that's for the fall.
It's got to be just for the fall.
Wow.
No, I didn't lay 9 bets in the fall. That might be year long for me. I've tried to avoid this contest.
I guess I just blacked out this fall. I don't remember doing this well. Okay. I'm cool with it. We don't need to change anything.
Well, there you go. Well, even with that Steelers -4 loss to one of the worst teams in football.
Oh, gosh. Just a classic Tomlin game. What just bozo decision after bozo decision. Tough. Thought this team was different. Guess they're not.
They are not. My top 20 withdrew. That was Seamus Power. So he withdrew after a round and a half. One of my outright, Siwoo Kim, withdrew after a round. So not a good week for me. Mark, you did also find victory here. Henrik Norlander at +125 to finish inside the top 40. Not only did he do that easily, T17, but as I mentioned, moves from 126 to 120th. So earned another job next year.
Yeah, he did. He's a great guy. And, I remember when Tuesday morning, when I was just scrolling down the list because I like the top 40 bet, because to me, I would think it's kind of the easiest one, unless you're going head to head where you got a 50% chance. And when I saw his name at like +125, I was like, this is a must do. I've never felt more confident about any bet than Norlander top 40 or inside the top 40 at Sea Island. So yeah, I'm happy about this one.
I think you said that. I think you were going to say that on Tuesday and you stopped yourself and you said, I'm not going to say it because that might not sound well, but you were very confident in it.
I was confident in this one.
Mark, great fall, man. Tip of the cap.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
Excellent job, fellas. Well done. Now, we've got one more thing to resolve, and it is the fall one and done. If you remember, we could not pick anybody from the FedEx Cup Top 50. We could not pick anyone that we already used in the regular portion of the schedule in 2024. So it made for some very fun and interesting names. Greg, you entered the week within striking distance, but very much in last place. You probably needed a winner to have a chance. And it was very sweaty because you had Luke Clanton, who finished T2 for $676,000. It was a great week. You win the week, but you will fall just short of winning the fall.
Extremely disappointing. Luke Clanton is, well, let's just say he needs a little more time in college after this performance.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm just Florida State has been left out of the playoff, you know?
Yeah. This was brutal. Yeah, by the way, 2 Florida State grads left out of the playoff in this one. This is extremely disappointing. As I mentioned earlier, he should have won this tournament. And there are many instances where I almost texted Josh or the group and said, you know, it's happening. Things have been set in motion that cannot be undone. I was thinking about all these things. I never said any of them. I withheld them all. I was thinking about my speech right now that I'm giving right now, and how I triumph again. You all counted me out, and look where you are now. But yeah, it didn't go that way.
You still delivered part of it.
Yeah, you would have been like that dude in the NFL that's like trotting into the end zone and he's holding the ball out and it gets patted away.
I was almost that if I said something.
Coming from the master of the early victory lap that doesn't work out, I think you should have done it.
Take the chance. Swing for the fences.
Swing for the fence.
Matt Wallace's streak of great play comes to an end. He does make the cut, but 17,925 is not going to do it, sir.
So did I move up to first since you're just having all of us on the edge of our seat here? If Greg didn't win, I feel like
some quick math.
Probably had a decent chance.
No, you're just short.
That's too bad. Yeah, I tend to have that effect on players. I pick them, they play poorly. Unfortunately, that was Matt Wallace this weekend.
I had Joe Highsmith, $184,000. It was respectable, as this felt like I got $184,000 every week. Nothing good, nothing bad. It will not be me winning the fall one and done. Mark, you entered the week with the lead.
Yes, I did.
You picked Matt Kuchar.
And I whiffed. Yes, I did.
And you got $0 for that.
It was, you know what? I love this fall thing. It kept me engaged because typically I switch off from golf a little bit after the playoffs and after the FedEx, after the President's or Ryder Cup. So it kept me in it a little bit and it was fun. But to be honest with you, I picked Luke. I picked Matt, I should say. Wish I'd picked Luke the week prior, because I couldn't think who else I had available. I kept on texting Josh. I'm like, can I use this guy? Nope. And I got a bunch of nopes. So I was like, let's go with Cooch. And
panic pick.
It was a panic pick. You're right. Never panic pick people. But I still thought he was going to play nicely. I mean, missing the cut, and he missed it badly too. It wasn't by one. I mean, Cooch was like, screw it, I'm done for the year.
This is like when you're in a restaurant and you have something in mind, you pick it out, the waitress comes up or waiter and they don't have it. And now you're frantically looking on the menu for something else.
It's the worst.
Isn't that the worst
bad choice? Yeah. It's going to be a bad decision.
Oh man.
Start on that end of the table.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
No, but then they start on that side of the table, then they get to you, and you're like, "Should I do this or should I?" And then you're like, "I'll just have this," and it's wrong.
Yeah.
Can you read the specials again?
Yeah. What do you recommend? Ooh, I don't like any of those.
Well, the gap between Mark and Josh before the week started was $23,187. So with Kuchar getting 0, that is what Josh needed, and he went with Mackenzie Hughes, who had a great week, earned $319,000, making Josh the fall one and done champion, 1.1 million. Mark finishes second, 881. Greg is third, 867. I finished fourth, 735. Patrick finishes in the basement, 530. That is over, what is it, 8 events? Oh my God. Yeah, that's brutal for everyone.
You lost your tour card, bro. You're going to the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yep, that's fair.
That's
I'll
fair.
see you guys in 26.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully to be handcuffed into guys that are not top 50, haven't already been used. It's tough. It's an uphill battle.
At least Josh cracked 1 million.
Yes. Whew. I didn't think anybody was going to get there. Any thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
A round of applause. Lexi Thompson called it a day, or called it a career after the final round this week, and she's such an incredible champion. She's taken so much flack on social media. I don't know why, because she's an incredible golfer, and to watch her play her final round today was quite emotional. I'll be honest with you, and it was nice to see. She finished on the 9th hole. Her family was out there and stuff, and so very cool. Congratulations, Lexi, on a wonderful career.
There you go. Well done, Lexi. Well said, Mark. Anybody else got anything of note?
A couple things on social media that caught my eye this weekend. The PGA Tour released a video with PGA Tour players with the Savannah Bananas. I guess they're doing something with them, I think. And they asked players to change one rule, and they had Justin Lauer on. And he said, the one rule I would like to see changed is if you're behind an electrical box, you should get a free drop. Clearly not over the Bermuda Championship. And then read the PGA Tour Twitter. George Bryan was going after him this weekend for not having Wesley on the featured groups, only a few of his shots, not all the shots, a week after he got a sponsor's exemption into the Bermuda Championship. That wasn't good enough for him. So they are now the crying brothers to me.
So I think the issue, Patrick, and listen, I thought it was a little crying as well, but I think the issue was it was being advertised as Wesley being on featured groups, and he was not on featured groups.
Yeah, they used his picture in the thumbnail, and then he just wasn't there.
Well, I don't know.
So,
but yes, that happened.
That's all I got. And then for actual golf, Luke Clanton with the finish, 17th point in the PGAU Accelerate program, needs 20. He'll get that through various stuff. So should have a tour card, I believe, May. That's when they come out. Ludvig and Thor Bjornsson got it in May, I believe.
According to the Nosferatu OWGR King on Twitter, Luke Clanton breaks into the top 100 of the official World Golf Rankings.
You're kidding me.
Jeez.
Half his starts are top 10s.
Yeah.
Not bad.
4 top
Not
10s.
bad.
That's more than Hovland, Homa, and Tom Kim this year.
Now what you should do is do one of those KP tweets where you have like names and then nothing, and then all of a sudden Clanton, you know.
All right.
Players that Luke has beaten Luke Clanton. Nobody. Or 3 people.
Those do work out well. Yes, they do. All right, gents. Well, we will be back on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time for our Gobble Gobble Turkey Day pod or Turkey Week pod. And we have more information on that later. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but we're going to do it. And it's going to be great, and everybody's going to like it. Okay?
All right. I'm ready.
But for now, big thanks to producer Josh, who does all the hard work behind the scenes. Patrick McDonald at P McDonald CBS. That's Greg DuCharme at The Real GFD. That's Mark Immelman at Mark_Immelman. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.